What's going on, guys? Today I'm gonna go off on a little rant. I've seen a lot of people make videos about should one opt for the expensive tools instead of going with the cheaper tools when they get into the trade, or should they go with the cheaper tools and then go to the expensive tools? Now, when I first started electrical, I already had a lot of different trades under my belt. I used to work in concrete, work in plumbing, and etc. and etc. So I already knew that buying the cheapest tools you could find would not last in a construction site. So when I first got into electrical, I went for the middle tier. Didn't go for the cheapest, but didn't go for the most expensive. When I first started, I started off with Milwaukee hand tools. Now, they weren't the cheapest, like I said, and they were barely coming out, and they had some good designs into their hand tools. But later on, I've noticed that they will rust a little too quickly, or get real dull, or somewhat like that. But it'll take a year or two. But they will dull and they will rust. I'm not gonna lie, I put it to some abuse, and so maybe that's why too. Don't expect it to last forever, of course. Then after little by little, I started getting my client tools, making the pliers cost about $45, $35. Every tool that client makes is gonna cost about $35 to $45, but they're worth it. They're good steel, and they don't rust. There's something that will last you a lifetime, and you can actually give it to your kid whenever they start a trade. So it's an investment that you're making. Now, when I first started electrical, everybody had a DeWalt impact and a drill. The foremans and the supervisors and people that have been in the trade for a long time had the Makita drill and impact. Now, if you walk into any construction site in this country, you will find that the Milwaukee impact and drills and etc. and etc. They have a lot more tools. They are going cordless, and they're being a lot more innovative. Of course, you gotta pay for it. Whenever Milwaukee started off, I'm not gonna say they were the cheapest, but they were more reasonable price. Now, if you see the new tools that Milwaukee came out with, they're not super expensive, but they're not the cheapest. They're up there. I give it a high middle tier. They just came out with the new framing gun, cordless framing gun, and from what I saw, it was a pretty good tool. I think they're going about for $350 just for the bare tool, and $450 for the set. Now, DeWalt sells a framing gun that's been out for years, and they're selling it for $350 with the kit. But again, it's a little old and outdated, and Milwaukee coming out with newer tools and better technology in them. Like I said, it depends on you. How long are you going to be in the trade? Maybe you haven't decided that, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life, and you're not willing to give that investment of putting a lot of money into it. Because when you do make that investment of buying a whole bunch of tools, that means that you're going to be there for a while. It's just like the Makita tools. The Makita tools are very expensive, but all my Makita tools that I have ever purchased, I cannot explain it, but they run so smooth. Like, I'm so smooth. Like, the way they cut, the way they drill, the way they do everything, it's just smooth. You can hear by the motor how it works that it's making a clean cut. But saying all that, my Milwaukee 7 1/4 circular saw has failed me again. The first time it has failed me was when the set screw actually broke on it and I couldn't put the blade on it. And I was barely starting up a project. What I had to do was go to the Milwaukee store and get it fixed. But sometimes they take about 2 weeks, and then they mail it back to you, which is not a problem, unless you have a certain time set for the project. Luckily for me, I was already doing my research, because before I buy any tool, I do my research on YouTube or online. I bought me the Makita 36 volt, which came in a kit with 4 batteries, the charger, and the circular saw for a great deal. Luckily at the time, they had a sale on it, and I was lucky. So now I don't worry about it because if one fails, I have another one. That's another thing, is that whenever you have a business or you're doing projects and you're one in charge, you're gonna have to have double of everything. Not most all tools, but some tools. A sawzall, a circular saw, drills, impacts, etc., etc. Why? Because if one breaks, you can't just keep on going to Home Depot or Lowe's and buying these tools every time a tool breaks, because then you gotta take it to the shop to get it the warranty, to get it fixed. Or some other people might buy these tools from Harbor Freight, and they be like, "Oh, they got lifetime warranty." Well, okay, well they got lifetime warranty, but if they keep on breaking and breaking and breaking, and then you gotta take it to the store and get it fixed or get a new one, you can do it. If the Harbor Freight is not so far from from the project, it is where it is. But that's a lot of time and downtime that you're losing at your project. So you have to get some quality tools that will last for a long time and get it done right. Like I said in previous episodes, I think I said it. We have bought a Harbor Freight chain hoist, and like I said, it did the job perfectly. And we didn't rough it too bad, but it was doing some good work. But after the project finished, that chain hoist was not working for nothing. It broke on us. And we saved some money because it wasn't so super expensive. Other ones they cost a lot more, hundreds of dollars, and this one was cheaper, But it did the job. But after we finished the project, it stopped working. So if we had another project we needed the chain hoist, maybe it would have been better if we bought the expensive one. In this world, it's all about price. If how long is it gonna last and how much it's gonna cost. I'm kind of rambling on. I told you it's gonna be a rant, but it's something people should know before they start a business or start doing their own projects. Because you gotta have these tools. Sometimes you gotta have double of these tools because you don't want to be at a project and then something breaks, and so you gotta go to the store and get another one or take it to the shop and get it fixed. Okay, so we were talking about cheap tools. Now we're gonna talk about cheap material. If you get cheap material, you're gonna get cheap quality. Now you can get yourself a guy that's pretty good and experienced to make it look better or make it perform better. But I'm pretty sure that guy is gonna charge you a little bit more money because he has to put a little extra elbow grease to make it work or to make it look nice. I just got done doing a house installing cameras, and with the first 2 wires, when we landed them on the monitor, we were having problems. Not that I'm trying to knock down Ideal, but we had an Ideal pass-through crimper. I think it was Ideal, and I'm not trying to knock them down. Ideal makes some good tools, good affordable tools, for the right price. And they also got some RJ45s from Amazon, and I think they got like 20 or 40 for $10, which it was a good deal. But later on, we were having a lot of problems. The crimper wasn't crimping right, so we had to spend like 4 or 5 RJ45s on one run because it was just not getting a good signal. And then also the crimps were very cheap crimps, and I think that was another problem. So I told the guy to go get some Klein Tools crimps RJ45s. I think they were like 15 for $10 or 10 for $7, something like that. I'm not sure. I mean, they're a little bit more expensive, but there's a reason why they're charging that money, because they know that you're gonna have a better quality work on it. Because once we started using those RJ45s and started using my Klein Tools pass-through crimper, there was no problem. It was a great connection on them, and after that, all the other runs, there was no signal loss, and we didn't have to go back and retrace our steps to where we went wrong. And here's my pass-through crimper. It cuts, it strips. You can put the pass-through crimps in here and crimp them. This one actually cost 45 bucks. Was it worth it? Yes, it was. Because once I started using this one, we didn't have no problems. I also have this one right here. You know, I'm not a data boy, and I that's what I call people when they work on data boys. But you know, sometimes you gotta have tools because you don't know what's gonna come your way. These people wanted to use a camera system where they had Cat 5, Cat 6 wire, and you had to cut them and crimp them and everything. This actually is the cutter for the Cat 6, Cat 5, and it's a pretty good thing. You know, you just put it inside there and just strip it, and it does the job. But you know, you don't have to buy expensive tools to get the job done, but it does make it a lot better, easier. Some tools. Sometimes you don't need to go buy the most expensive tool for certain situations. This right here is Klein Tools new circuit finder. This looks like a regular plug tester, but it's not. As you can see, it has transmitter, but it does all the other functions that a plug tester does. Now you stick this into a plug and you get your wand and you wave it around in the circuit breaker box, and you go one by one to each breaker, and then when it's the breaker with the circuit, it will light up and tell you that's the one. Now this is perfect for house use. Sometimes houses have like 36 breakers, and it's not like you're going to turn off every breaker just to find out that one circuit. So this is perfect because you can just go plug it in, and then you go to the circuit breaker and put your wand on it, and it's going to tell you which one. And it works pretty well. It has not failed me yet. But I will keep this only for houses. I have worked in buildings where we use the Ideal or the Greenlee circuit breaker finder. And the thing is, those cost $800 to $1,200. And I'm not saying that this will not find the circuit breakers in buildings, but in buildings they have a lot more wiring and they have a lot more stuff going on than houses. You know, houses is just plug and play, but the buildings, you know, people have to make things work, and so they have to do things to make it work, and you don't know what circuit breaker it is, or if they're sharing a neutral or stuff like that, because sometimes you'll find that they're sharing a neutral from another breaker, but it's not a completely different breaker. So I wouldn't advise this, because sometimes in buildings they won't allow you to turn off each one because they need power, or for some reason they can't turn it off. So whenever you use one of these right here, you try to be it for houses only.